Hi, evening, everyone. This is BU here. We are live from Penang. This is our first time going global. Welcome to PechaKucha Night. Today will be our 10th volume from our PechaKucha Night series. And we are joining PechaKucha Inspire the World. Thank you all for joining us. We have a good crowd this evening. And without further ado, let's see. We've got a great lineup of speakers joining us. And because we are going online, it's great that we have presenters from Penang, from KL, from Singapore, and all the way from Tokyo. And we are so excited to have everyone here. And the best part I want to tell everyone is that PechaKucha Penang started in 2017, July 2017, and today is actually our 3rd anniversary. So, it's great to see everyone, and it's great to know that we're going online. So, without further ado, let's welcome all the presenters that are ready in the virtual room.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm from Tokyo.
Say hi to everyone.
Hi.
Got a good crowd this evening.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for showing up.
No, sorry. Hi.
So I'm just gonna let's just introduce everyone here that we have. Brian is from PechaKucha, and then we have Mark Dytham, our co-founder. Privileged to have you join us, Mark. And we have Joseph. We have Joseph Go from Penang, Aida Reza, also from Penang, and we have Pete DiMarco. We have Robert Powell, Professor Robert Powell here, and Professor Chong Keng Hua. And then lastly, we have Ko Xiao Hee from Singapore. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for saying yes. I'm really honored to have everyone who's so supportive in our first online venture. So Brian, are we ready for our first presenter of the evening? So now for our last 9 versions of PechaKucha in Penang, we spoke every time about Mark, so you're really famous now in our Penang community now online. They've seen you on video, they've seen you, and I speak of you every time. So it's great that
so much.
and it's great that you're joining us here today. And so everyone knows Mark is a co-founder. And without further ado, I hand over to you, Mark Dytham. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, B.
Yeah.
I'll help there. Thank you so much. I'd just like to say a couple of things before I start. I want to say a big thank you to Brian. Brian works at PechaKucha HQ and helps coordinate the whole global community, and has been instrumental in helping us put on these Inspire the World events, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Astrid can't join us tonight. We've actually got a competition deadline at midnight. So we have 3 more hours here in Tokyo to get that finished. So everybody's working hard behind the virtual background here. So I'm just going to introduce PechaKucha a little bit, tell you a little bit more about it and what we've been up to recently. So why don't you hit the slides, Brian? Okay, so I'm Mark Dytham, and along with Astrid Klein and Yukinari Hisayama, we run Klein Dytham Architecture here in Tokyo. And we're architects. This is our day job, and this is Ginza Place. It's on the main crossroads in Ginza, the epicenter of retail in Japan, and it's a showroom for Nissan. We're also working in Asia, in China, and in Thailand. This is Open House in Bangkok. It's an oasis of bookstore, restaurants, art gallery, kids spaces. And I think it's the new format really for how retail becomes experiential in the future. So that's our day job. But we've run a night job, PechaKucha Night. And this is where it started in Super Deluxe in 2003, 17 years ago, at the dawn of digital photography, which instead of putting slides into carousels, you could simply show your work. And we thought it'd be really nice for young architects and designers to show and share their work. in public. But you know what it's like, architects talk too much, and we came up with this idea of everybody showing 20 slides for 20 seconds each, 400 seconds the next presenter's on. And we called it PechaKucha, which means the sound of chit-chat in Japanese, PechaKucha, PechaKucha, PechaKucha. And the one event suddenly became a monthly event. And not only was it architects and designers, but we also, the community suggested other people, hidden heroes, like this gentleman who's 63 and builds some of the tallest construction fences around the largest skyscrapers in Tokyo. He had amazing photographs and he'd never spoken in public before. So PechaKucha is about pulling out these special people and giving them a platform. In fact, we're giving the world a platform. PechaKucha spread from a one-off event in Tokyo over the 17 years, and we're now in 1,235 cities around the world. And we have about 100 events, a physical event. We did have 100 virtual events around the world. And it's really amazing. But PechaKucha is not only a format, it's a community, and the community is really, really special to us. And we're in touch with each of the cities just before their event, and Brian, Christina, and Tomoko chat with everybody. It's a really passionate community, and that's what's kept it going for this many years. It's like a flywheel. And the community's been really amazing, especially in times of need and times of trouble. So when the earthquake, tsunami, and the nuclear issues affected Japan on March 11th in 2011, nearly 1 million buildings were touched by the tsunami. In fact, 130,000 were completely destroyed in 20 minutes. But the whole of the PechaKucha community came together, and we held an online event on Skype, in fact, all around the world. And there was 105 events. We raised $100,000, and we worked with Architecture for Humanity and Home for All, which is a project which was established by Toyo Ito. And that project spread, and a few years later, we built this center up in the affected areas. And it's for children. We're very close to the radiation area. And this was a place that young kids could play inside. In fact, there's Brian there, who's a fantastic photographer taking pictures of the kids on the launch day. But not only have we come together for Japan, but also for other cities like Christchurch, one of our most popular cities. They were hit by 3 major earthquakes. And the community said that PechaKucha was really important in pulling the community together. And on the right, you can see the big outdoor event they held in their Pallet city. And then Nepal was hit by an earthquake too, and we had an Inspire Nepal. And here what we did is we tried to encourage people to show pictures and make presentations of Nepal before it was hit by the earthquake. So buildings that were destroyed and temples that were destroyed. People made very nice presentations about that. And then we had the global pandemic. So we normally have 1,200 events a year around the world. And suddenly this went in March, the end of March, it went to 0. And there were no events on the calendar. But we started chatting to other city organizers, and was there a way that we could get back online? And amazingly, we've held 85 events around the world since April the 9th. And that started with PechaKucha Night in London and Manchester. And then we started running them here in Tokyo. And we've been helping coordinate these around the world. And you can see how our graphic has spread across all these amazing events. And what we're doing is we're getting amazing ideas and creativity, because in this pandemic and these difficult times, great ideas come out. And this is Nozaina. It is just from a simple A4 slip folder, 3 cuts, and you can make a PPE face mask. And it's been viewed many, many times on the internet. And it's a really simple idea. And we've been chatting to him about different things too. Please check out his presentation. And this is Morag Myerscough in London. She'd always wanted to paint a house, but never had time. She's a fantastic graphic designer from the Royal College of Art, and where Astrid and I went. And so she had time not only to paint the inside of the house, she's painted the outside too. She's helped coin this phrase called London fabulousness. And this is a presentation by Alice Rothstone and Paolo Antonelli from MoMA. And they've been also discovering things around the world. And these girls in Africa are making awareness by turning their hair into the COVID germ, as it were. So because of this, PechaKucha spread into universities and schools and offices. And what we've done, we've quickly developed, we've been in the process, PechaKucha Create, where anyone can upload 20 images voice them, and share them. Before, you had to make a presentation at a live event or an online event like this, but now anybody can make a presentation online and share it with the community. And so Dana, who was actually one of our interns here at PechaKucha, she was in America. She went back to meet her parents during Chinese New Year and was stuck for 76 days in Wuhan. And she was using PechaKucha Create to get her story out. So please check that out. It's something that you can use in your offices and your schools. And this has also allowed us to run architectural competitions. So this is a competition we're running with the Architectural Festival. It's open until August the 31st, so please enter. It's free, and you upload your 20 images, voice them, and share them with the rest of the world or into the competition pool. So it's been really exciting that from this, very difficult moment, so much passion, so much creativity, and so much ingenuity comes out. And as I say, we've had 85 events. About 700 people have presented, all with really incredible stories. So thank you so much. And thank you for running PechaKucha for 10 events and 3 years in Penang. We're really proud of you. Thank you so much. And thank you for putting this on tonight.
Thank you, Mark. It's really great to hear you sum up the whole story. I wouldn't have to ask and do the introduction myself. I'm glad right now everyone here online finally knows what PechaKucha is. We used to have to explain, we are not a club. Are you an organization? No. Are you a movement? No. So you really did well. I'm so glad.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
no, it's difficult. So you can squeeze a lot into 20 slides, huh?
I know.
And for our question in the green room, our panelists were asking, can we talk a little bit? Can we go on beyond the amount, or can we go on a little bit? I think Mark just answered your question for you.
Yeah, sorry about that. Well, mine's not going to be recorded and put online, so.
No, I think let's give Mark another big round of applause.
Thank you. Oh, hold on.
Standing ovation.
I've got my. Whoops, that's the wrong one. I pressed the wrong button there. That's the one I should be pressing. Yeah, I can bring my own round of applause. You see.
Thank you. Simplifying.
I pressed was the burping one, which was not the one I wanted to press. But anyway, I've got the little sound machine.
Okay, I should get one of them. We have almost 100, people joining us in the virtual room today. I think there'll be more.
That's amazing.
On YouTube. Yeah. So, Very good. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. Good luck to everybody.
You're going to stay with us, right, through the evening?
Of course, yeah.
Are you going back to your competition work?
If you see me sneak off, you'll see I'm checking. And I can check it online just here.
We've got a lot of architects, students, young architects and professionals in the group. So it's going to be, a good fun later on. No. So stay with us.
No, and it's great to see there's 100 people over in the webinar. There's 10 overflow people on YouTube, but I think that'll creep up. So great.
Okay.
See you later.
So all right, thank you, Mark. So moving on, Brian. So Mark, when I was in Tokyo, remember the street food, all the delicious food that we showed everyone in Tokyo. You still remember nasi lemak, teh tarik. So Penang, mostly everyone knows Penang with its food, food haven, but not many know that Penang has a sanctuary, a beautiful sanctuary for butterflies, insects, and bugs. It's called Entopia, and that leads to our next presenter this evening, Joseph Goh. He's the CEO of Entopia, and most Penangites know, but today. I welcome Joseph to speak about his venture, and the trivia thing is not many know that Joseph himself is a trained architect, and he's not only an expert in butterflies. So what he's venturing now is in school he learns about designing for humans. Now he's designing for butterflies, bugs, and insects. So I welcome you, Joseph Goh.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's great to be here tonight, and thank you for inviting me to be part of the sharing for PechaKucha. Yeah, I'm quite excited, to be here for the first time. Even though I'm not really practicing architecture, but somehow or other, nature somehow brought me back into the architectural world again. So today I will share a little bit of some of the work I've done overseas, not exactly the Penang one, but overseas a project that I did for a client.
Here goes.
Well, as a trained architect, nature really has made an impact on me. And what you see here is actually an egg. It's a butterfly egg. And it's practically less than 1 millimeter in size. And yet it's so complex. So, and that is actually the egg of this particular butterfly. And on the right-hand side, you can see that I purposely put up a close-up shot. And it's actually the wing scale of a butterfly. And it's a very, very unique structure that helps them float and fly. It's actually multi-layer. And this is one of my favorite. It's actually a tree hopper. And I'm just absolutely fascinated by how, the whole design of the insect itself is totally out of this world. And it's so small. We are talking about what, 5 millimeter? And they are all living in Antopia. Antopia is actually how should I say? It's actually home to all these insects. And we are a sustainable nature learning destination. It is a place that we inspire people to reconnect with Mother Nature through various different moments that they spend in Antopia. As for tonight, I am actually sharing with you guys a project I did in Konya, Turkey. It's a very out of the usual place people would think to have a project like this, but it was the government who actually approached us to actually set up a butterfly garden. It is a very harsh environment, right? You can see here there's a summer picture and also a winter picture. We are looking at winter is minus 20 degrees Celsius, and during the summer it can up to 40 degrees Celsius. So it's very challenging to actually create a project, with a tropical garden for all these butterflies that you see here. In Turkey, there are only about 400 over species, and we are tasked to actually introduce our Penang species, about 26. I think 26 of the species that we introduced in this particular garden. Not many though, but it's already very challenging. And in order to have the right environment, we have to introduce the plants from Malaysia, and there are about 40 over species of plants that we have to ship over and replant them. The total quantity, I think it was more than 20,000 plants that we actually sent over to create the tropical garden. This is some of my sketches that I did. The client wanted a unique butterfly conservatory. So hence my sketch actually, you can see the abstract version of it. And I try to capture the essence of what the client actually wanted. Yeah. And over here, well, you can see that, the whole conservatory site, half of it is being shielded, with a fabric structure. This is to avoid the summer heat, because the butterflies do need certain shade when it's really hot. Even though it's a temperature control garden, the temperature can really go up. And well, the dome shape that I created here is actually a specific requirement, from all the years that I've spent with butterflies, understanding and observing the behaviors, and that is the particular purpose, and this is to enhance the activity. Well, to create the dome, it was actually a steel frame structure that we created, and it was really a challenge, because every single piece is unique. There's no one same measurement. And I'm glad we had a very good engineering team to actually work it out. And in fact, also the shading device that we have. I'm not sure whether this will actually reflect to the tree hopper that you saw. It's some of the nature elements I try to bring it into some of the design that I do. This is also because of the heat. Yeah. Well, this is the actual garden itself that you see inside. Yeah. It's a aviary for the butterflies and insects. It's about 2,000 square meter. It's like a giant living vivarium, and all the farm butterflies from Penang are actually sent over to this garden, where There are various different environments that we create. There are shades area, there are tunnels. We created a rolling hill in the middle, and the tunnels are meant for some of the other insect exhibits that we have in there. And it's all with a single pathway that goes around the whole garden. And it's handicap friendly, right? And also especially for school children, because we have a lot of different programs for schools. So you can imagine when you have kids running around, it needs to be really a safe garden, for all. This is the museum section that you can see. These are Otica design. Otica is actually an egg case of an insect egg. So every single Otica carries a different topic, and these are more enhanced learning features that we have created for the client. This is a phylogenetic tree of butterflies. It's basically classification of butterflies. There are about 300 over species in there to help people understand the various different family that they come from, to appreciate how wide the variety of the insect world is. Well, to save our Mother Nature from habitat loss, we really need to start by educating the young. So school curriculum is not enough. It's really not enough. Therefore, Entopia strive to create this nature learning destination for as many communities as possible to spread the importance of how to maintain a healthy forest ecosystem by learning from the majority, and they are the insect world. Insect itself constitute about more than 75% of all the living organism on Earth. And there's so much to learn from them. And it's only the beginning for me. There's still a lot to learn from them. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. That's a good one. You did well for first time at PechaKucha. For the rest of you here, you may not know that I've been very persistent in inviting Joseph. We are at our volume 10. I've probably invited him at every previous volume, probably not every, but and I'm so glad finally you said yes to our online platform. I think it is good that now everyone knows Penang, not just for its food, but for its butterfly sanctuary as well.
Thank you for inviting.
Thank you again, Joseph. Joseph is born-bred Penangite, right? And from our Penang talent, Brian, we will move on to our next presenter, who is also.
Let me interrupt one. Sorry, B. I just heard. Did everybody hear that noise in the background while Joseph was presenting?
No.
What? You didn't hear anything?
No.
Okay.
I heard it.
I'm okay.
I heard it. It's like a little clicking sound.
Yeah. Is anybody typing? I know this is off script, far off script, but
that's what you're there for. I can hear that. That was it then.
Yeah.
It might be his headphones hitting his shirt or something like that.
All right. Well,
thanks, Brian.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna shush. All right. Here we go. Sorry about that. All right.
So I was saying that from one Penang talent, we're gonna hear from another Penang talent, Ida Ritza. She's from Penang, and she, an incredibly talented, amazing lady. Ida does many things. I know she's a choreographer, she's a performance maker, and she's a dance activist. And Ida takes dance to a new level. She does not just do dance movement to music, but she makes sure her dance has a message to tell. So without further ado, over to you, Ida. Welcome to PechaKucha.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I will start my evening with the first slide, so I won't use so much of the beginning, so you can hit it on. Yes, thank you. In my creations and creative process, I assume the role of the guardian, or what we call here as the penjaga, to be aware and concerned on issues, as you mentioned, an activist, of nature, heritage, livelihoods, and rights. I use the ceremony of ritual, rhythm, and repetition as a way to awaken the semangat. And you see, I'll take my people, the people that I work with, through an expedition process, through public spaces, journeying as a voyager. We look at nature sites and abandoned spaces, to make creative interventions that are site-specific and live. The training which I use usually is, as I said, ritual, rhythm, and repetition. So together we begin the dance of purification to initiate the process of buka pangong. And that's the way we start up with a niat, which is the intention, vocalizing and using our voice. We move on to using reinvention from traditions and rituals. And together we research to collect stories, sounds, materials, recreate it to make a new performance of ceremony that gives a message to revive, regenerate, and recover. Yeah, in the ceremony, usually we bring our artist or myself to the site to listen to the source, to the vibration of the troubled site, so that we can transform what we feel, what we smell, what we experience there into our body experience, and becomes a rhythm. And this is when the ritual becomes a rhythm, a vibration of frequency in our body, where we process it out with a call of and response. So the performer communicates with the body, vocal and sound, calling and response, questioning and answer to identify the beings that we call upon, and that would activate us into the journey. So in the ceremony of repetition, rituals and rhythm are repeated, shifting through time. The semangat of resilience, the energy of resilience is activated, so that it can include in this sense of perseverance and persistence. God, this thing is running very fast. Okay, continue. And so when you are engaged with ritual, rhythm, and repetition, we become aware and in tune with the situations around us. And I'm very concerned with the reclamation and the deforestation in our place. And so in the world, and I would take on this how do you say this character of a healer, and therefore bring out my performers also in this journey where we immerse ourselves in these spaces and find a way to describe it in our composition. And this is another method of going out into abandoned spaces and creating stories, where the semangat is about connecting with the relationships and role-playing, the storytelling. And that's where the role of the semangat is a storyteller. And here again, with the energy, we are going into the space of Kampong Siam, which is a village that is looking into getting demolished. So we are there to preserve and protect through learning their heritage, their traditional forms, and using it to in our creations. And as you can see, the creations here is not about us voicing about the situation of Kampong Siam, but rather to find an integration where transformation is important, the sense of feeling lost in an impermanence, feeling and that the space is no longer existing may bring some sense of loss for the audience who are watching. On the other ground level, with the grassroots level, together with Arts at an NGO in Penang, we work with young people and in places where they're marginalized spaces, where being connected to bring out the performance creation to express their concerns. Also, for me, the semangat is very important to link and unite with the feminine power. So bringing up issues that so integral to my artistic mission is to fight for women's rights and the struggles and also the safety and wellness of our children. And this is the semangat that continues between connecting reality and performance. And here, now currently I'm on a project called Living, where we are actually bringing contemporary artists who are mixed media and being together to be the storytellers. That means we are all conductors of the ceremony, collaborating. So the semangat, for me, the energy is an art of being. I'm interested to codify this art of semangat as means to strategize a performance ceremony. And how we do that is shaping the between being the warrior, the storyteller, or the healer. These are the three things. And then when you have attained that, we continue to see how to go deeper within the skills of the semangat and see the inner state of Maya. So, with the niat, the intention, and the intention and the upaya, which is the will, we understand further the deeper intensity of the performer, trying to allow ourselves to emerge between the deeper frequencies and sending it out to the audience to then follow us through our journey. Going back into basics, the core semangat, which lies in our breath work, is from the physical, or whether it's from physical, mental, or spiritual point, it directs us to be spontaneously and intuitively navigating and orchestrating in between dance, song, voice, the material, or the installation. And so for me, semangat when one semangat can move and gear all into an action in an immersive, participatory, and crossing of mediums, then the dance will transform our minds and affect change. Therefore, the semangat of change has taken place. That was so fast.
Wow.
Bravo.
Did it, Ida. You really did it. I'm
Great
so
job.
proud of you. I'm so happy for you.
That was fast.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you really did it well. You know, and the photos really spoke to us with much intensity. And I think, yes, you know, round of applause for Ida again.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Really amazing presentation. And you should check out, there are lots of dance presentations on PechaKucha, and that there are many from Japan, many to do with fertility, and also with the seasons. There are many festivals in Japan, you know, to do with the rice planting, and lots of contemporary dance by Japanese people and some of our friends. So please check them out. But lovely presentation. Thank you so much. Great photographs too.
Yeah, I'm so glad Ida is able to join us, and you know, she's got a busy schedule before this, and the moment we've got you know, online platform, and I know, you know, many of us can't travel, so I'm really glad Ida agreed to join us this time. So thank you again, Ida. We will move on to our next presenter, Pete DiMarco. Well, the funny story about Pete was one of our participants in PechaKucha in February 2020, and he has an impressive portfolio of you know, photography. He's a travel photographer from US, and he's now based in Asia. You know, he does a lot of online workshops now about landscape, cityscape, and aerial photography. So without further ado, I welcome Pete DiMarco to PechaKucha Penang. Pete, are you here with us?
Yes, hi everyone, and thank you, Bea, for inviting me. It's an honor to be here.
Great. So let us know when you're ready.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to share the highlights of my journey through Asia. So whenever you're ready, let's start it up. All right, so this is me in 1979. I lived on a small island off the coast of South Korea called Jeju Island. That's me and the red shirt there, and that's my mom and my little brother and my dad. My dad taught English at Jeju National University, and so our family lived in South Korea for a year. Then around 2006, I found this picture in a magazine of this place in Mongolia, and it really just piqued my interest to go back to Asia and travel around Asia. So I tore this picture out of the magazine, bought a plane ticket, and then flew over to Mongolia. Then when I got there, I ended up staying about 2 months in Mongolia. And the highlight of my time there was living with this local nomadic family. And we lived in that yurt there. And I even got to break it down and we moved it. So I was like a true nomad during my time there. After that, I moved to Busan, South Korea. I lived there for 10 years. Busan's an incredible city. It's very dynamic. And I really like how it's just in between all these mountains, you have the city just kind of sprouting up. And I took this picture from the roof of these towers that you see in the background of this photo. This is the place where I really got into photography. One of the things I really like about Busan is they have this fog rolling in off the sea. And so I would often take pictures of that fog. This is a photo I took from the rooftop of another building. After that, I moved to Penang in Malaysia. You all know Penang. And that's where I got into aerial photography, drone photography. And one of the things I love about Penang, besides the great food and wonderful people and climate, is the sunsets. They have these incredible sunsets in Penang. Also, there's a lot of lightning storms. I think Malaysia has more lightning strikes than anywhere in the world, or it's one of the top countries with the most lightning. I got really lucky with this shot. I took this with my drone. I took about 100 photos, and one of them had this lightning strike in it. So that was a highlight of mine in Malaysia with my drone. Another favorite city in Asia of mine is Hoi An, Vietnam. It's a very busy little town because there's a lot of tourists that go there. But if you wake up really early in the morning, you watch the sunrise, it's so quiet, and you can kind of get a feel for what the town is really like. Another of my favorite places in Asia is Kyoto, Japan. This is Kiyomizu-dera Temple. The whole temple is made out of wood. I don't think there's even steel nails in it. It's just all wood. It's really amazing. And I took this photo during the cherry blossom festival, Sakura. Another highlight of Asia for me is Mount Bromo. This is a drone image that I took. It's an aerial panorama with about 6 photos stitched together. And if you look in the lower left-hand corner, you'll see a little town, and that's a village on the lip of the volcanic crater. It's really amazing. I also flew my drone up to the edge of the volcano. And if you look closely, you can see something that looks like ants up the bottom part of it. Those are actually people going up to the lip of the crater there. And I flew my drone right over the top of it. It was pretty scary. I thought it was going to get blown away or something, but it was fine. Another place in Asia is Zhangjiajie, China. And this place is like, they have these towers of stone. They're like skyscrapers. If you look at the bottom middle of the photo, you'll see a little white square. That's actually a tour bus, just to give you an idea of how big it is. One of my favorite cities in Asia is Hong Kong. I took this shot from the 100th floor of an observatory. Hong Kong has more skyscrapers than any place in the world. It has double the amount of skyscrapers that are in New York City. So Hong Kong is definitely one of my favorite places. But if I had to choose one city to live in, I would probably say Singapore. Singapore is just a very chill, relaxed city. It's very green, it's open. And when I saw these 2 girls sitting there by the water, it just kind of reminded me of how relaxed Singapore is. Another place, one of the most interesting villages I've seen in Asia is this village called Koh Phanyi in Thailand. It's not too far from Phuket. This is another drone panorama. It's about 4 photos stitched together. And this is a fishing village right in the middle of Thailand there. One of my favorite places, though, by far, is Bagan. This shot, I got really lucky. I was just walking through the temple complex in Bagan. I heard some cowbells and then I saw these goats and cows. They were walking along in this farmer, and then the balloons rose up right behind. So at the end of my time there, I went to Jeju Island. I actually went back to Jeju, and I wanted to recreate my father's photos. So that's my father's photo on the left from 1979. And this is a photo I took just a few years ago. So I tried to retrace the steps of some of his photos. The photo in the center is my father's photo from 79. And then the outside of that photo is the photo from today. This is a popular tourist destination. It's called Dragon Head Rock, and it's made out of volcanic rock. So if you ever go to Jeju, you have to go to this Dragon Head Rock. If you look in the left corner, low left corner, those are my father's photos, the old photos. And of course, they had more modern boats back then, but in 79, you could still see people on these old wooden fishing boats, and you could see them harvesting by hand the fields. So it was really interesting to go back and recreate what he did. To end it, I just want to share this photo from Bali, Indonesia. I found this shipwreck on the shore in Bali, and there was the stars rising there, and it just kind of reminded me that you really need to just enjoy the journey and keep your eyes on the stars.
Wow, amazing.
Thank you, Pete.
Great job.
Great work.
Nice. I think you did well, Pete. How do you feel? Wasn't
Great,
too bad,
yeah.
right?
No, it flew by.
So well done. I think everyone is really inspired and with all your travel photos. So
as Brian knows, I'm a big drone fan. Yeah, we have several drones in the office. I'm sure a few architects have them too. Yeah, but I get really nervous when they get up that high. Yeah, my whole hand gets shaky. And but they were fantastic pictures. Really brilliant. Brian, what have you got? Brian's a really fantastic photographer.
I'm sort of speechless. I'm just
from a photographer to a photographer.
Yeah, I hope we can stay connected after this.
For sure.
I'm very curious to know more about your trial. I came here to Asia on a whim and sort of have globe-trotted around the region and have made some of these similar photos, but wow, really impressed. Amazing, beautiful.
And in fact, now's the perfect time to be in Kyoto because there's no one there. but you can't get here. That's the only problem.
Only if we can fly there.
No, there won't. I don't think you're not allowed in at the moment. If even I'm not allowed back in at the moment until August the 31st is the next window.
You have to sneak in one of those musical container rigs. If you want to get in and out, you got to get in one of the.
You've got Carlos Ghosn musical box. All right, enough.
Peter, I've got a bit of a curveball to throw here, though, because these beautiful photographs, which are all taken by drones, they're replicated by students who present their projects, all with their views taken from above. And I keep saying to them, you've got to take photographs from eye level. From exactly. People see buildings. They never see them from above. So I mean, it's just as I say, it's a curveball to throw to you. That I encourage people to look at things from eye level, from ground level.
Absolutely, Robert.
Thanks, Robert.
All right.
That's our Professor Robert Powell speaking. Thanks, Pete. So move on to our next speaker of the evening. Prof. Robert Powell is an architect, urban planner, academician, prolific writer. He's also a very well-known architectural critic. I have bought, his books during my university days, and I'm glad to hear, Robert is still writing books and has more projects to come. I'm very happy that he's agreed to join us today. Let's welcome Robert Powell. Give a round of applause. Robert?
Thank you very much. Can you hear me? I'm on, yeah? Okay.
Yes.
Well, B, thank you for inviting me this evening. And it's certainly an honor to be here with this in this company. And my talk this evening is going to be about the tropical Malaysian house. So can we run the slides, please, Brian? Okay, where are we? So what is the tropical Malaysian house? My search for the answer to this question began in 1985, culminating in May this year when I published the book, The Tropical Malaysian House, Volume 2. In the intervening 35 years, I published about almost 100 houses in Malaysia in a series of books beginning with The Asian House in 1993. And the way I go about this is I identify houses and I write extensive notes in discussion with the house owners and the architects and designers. I draw every house, a sketch plan of it, and I attempt to unearth the underlying ideas and to locate the pulse of the house. My interest in Malaysian houses was ignited by a visit to Ken Yang's Roof Roos house in 1985. It was a bold attempt to design with climate. And it was the first time I'd looked at a Malaysian house and investigated it, and I published it in 1989. In the 1980s, Jimmy Lim approached the design of houses from a very different perspective. All of Jimmy's houses, including the iconic Salinger house, referenced the traditional Malay vernacular. They too were climatically appropriate for the tropics. In 2008, I wrote about the Safari Roof House designed by Kevin Mark Lowe. Kevin responded to the climate with a double-layer roof and an arrangement of pavilions that encourage positive and negative pressure and cross-ventilation. Then, in the 2019 book, coming up any moment, The Tropical Malaysian House Volume 1, I included the UN House in Selangor, Malaysia. This house, designed by Wui Lok Kwang, has a curved form that appears to reference traditional Tulu roundhouses in Fujian, China. It also has a shaded undercroft responding to the climate in Malaysia. And in my recent book, the 2020 book, I featured Boyan Heights, a house on the Sarawak-Kalimantan border. The form of the house references the Bidayu Longhouse, but there's also a hint of an Australian Queenslander. In an architectural language, appropriately, the house is the home of a Milanu lady and her Australian husband. Another Sarawak house, the Open House 2, references a North Borneo longhouse designed for a Hokkien businessman and his wife of Dayak Iban descent. It shows inspiration from the traditional longhouse with 4 billets or residential rooms accessed from a linear ruai. Now, the roof is a feature of many traditional houses in Southeast Asia, and the roof of the H House in Kuala Lumpur is in this tradition. The house is designed for a Malay oil and gas professional and his wife, a medical doctor. Another house in Kuching, designed as a retirement home for a Malay couple, is fundamentally a response to climate. The house responds to sunlight and monsoon rain with a wide shading roof and a natural ventilation. It's built around a major tree on the site, and like the Safari Roof House, has a plan that creates positive and negative pressure. Another house in Langkawi was featured in my 2019 book. The Telegraph Pole House follows Geoffrey Bauer's edict that a house in the tropics should have a living room that is open to sky, permanently open to sky, and the ventilation flows straight through it. The Green Bridge House, designed for a Malay lady and a French husband in Kuala Lumpur, illustrates another requisite of a tropical house, namely a wide veranda, an in-between space between indoor living and outdoor living, vital for living in the tropics. And a romantic honeymoon house at Ulu Langat in Kuala Lumpur, on the outskirts of Kuala Lumpur, follows another of Geoffrey Bauer's edicts. Never ever chop down a tree on a site. Always move the house rather than cut down a tree. This is precisely what the designer of this house did. And proving that good design extends to small dwellings, this is the Katiri house in Kuching. The house touches the earth lightly, to quote Glenn Murcutt, and has a wide overhanging roof with permanent cross ventilation through the living and dining area. The Borneo Mansion, another house in Kuching designed by William Koo, employs yet another feature of a house in the tropics, and it's built around an open courtyard, an open to sky courtyard, I should say, with a beautifully shaped tree at its very heart. And again, another feature of a house in tropical Asia. The architect of House 68 in Kuala Lumpur succinctly describes it as a one-room wide house bent in the middle. The main living space opens on both sides to create cross-ventilation and a view of borrowed landscape. The idea of a one-room wide house is fundamental to designing in the tropics. And here, a brilliant house in Johor Bahru, the Cloister House, looks inwards to a huge garden court surrounded by a 5-meter high wall. The house has 12 courtyards, and the designers drew inspiration from a fortified Roman house in 2nd century Pompeii. Then the Planter Box House, the next house to come up. I'm running ahead of myself. Architects are not known to run out of words. Where's the next slide? There we are, the Planter Box House. The Planter Box House involved the rebuilding of a mid-terrace house in Kuala Lumpur to introduce natural ventilation with a chimney, a chimney to force the hot air out of the top of the building and bring in cool air, and to introduce natural ventilation, daylight, and planting boxes to support a sustainable lifestyle. And finally, Denai Tan House was designed by a Malay architect for his family in Johor Bahru. The house is a modern interpretation of a Malay kampung house, and it has an open-to-sky living area to connect to a garden court. What then is the answer to my question, what is a tropical Malaysian house? What is a Malaysian house? Well, the names of the architects, designers, and house owners in Malaysian House 1 and 2, volumes 1 and 2, indicates the rich mix of ethnicities, with Malay, that is Bugis and Jawa Malayu, Chinese, Hokkien, Teochew, Puchao, and Indian, and Sri Lankan, both Tamil and Sinhalese. It all goes to show really that the tropical Malaysian house, the Malaysian house, is brings about, it's at the intersection of the cultures and ethnicities of all of whom exist in Malaysia. It was never, if it ever was, it is not it ever was just the one ethnicity, but it's a complete complex mixture of all these different ethnicities and cultures. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert. Big round of applause. I'm so glad you decided to reveal your sketches. As rather, I thought you're going to share photos from your books and your writing.
I started off by putting 20 photographs up, and then I spoke to
sketches were much better.
Yeah. I'm so glad, because I thought I wanted to make it easier for him. I
spoke to a veteran of PechaKucha, and he said, that's not what PechaKucha is about. What you must do is show a process. So I threw away, I didn't throw them away, but I put very small, the pictures, and I put my sketches in for each house to develop the ideas.
Yeah,
it was a really, really beautiful presentation. Yeah, really, really stunning, and touched on so many interesting points. Yeah, and I think for us I was going to say in the West, but a bit further north, it's very interesting to talk about the tropical house. And I think there's so many lessons there for architects around the world. And I think we need to look at this. And your books, I know your books really well. So, and a big fan, well, I know Ken really well, but Jeffrey Bauer too, really stunning work. And, it's just getting known around the world. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. I think we're very happy that you really did well on time. You're even ahead of time at one slide. So well done. Round of applause for Robert again.
Thank you.
Joseph has a question in the Q&A.
Sorry, Pete?
Joseph has a question in the Q&A.
Okay. At the moment?
Yeah, you can answer it. Joseph, there's someone asking, were the engineers from Malaysia or were they from Turkey? And what approach, where did it go? And what was the approach you took to achieve LEED certification? That's a tough question.
No, that's
Can you hear us, Joseph?
Take another evening.
I just typed the response to the person. I was typing just now when you were asking me.
Okay, well, it's really cool. So if anybody else has got questions, please feel free. And I want to say hi to all the people over on YouTube as well. Yeah, let me just let's go there. A few little shout outs. We've got people from people from all around the world joining, and Ashnur from Turkey too. Maybe he's the guy that's asking questions. He's on the webinar and on the on YouTube. Anyway.
All right.
Thank you.
So great. Okay. So we're going to move on from architectural writing books. We'll move on to our speaker from Singapore, Professor Chong Keng Hua. He's an academician with SUTD, Singapore University of Technology and Design. He's also a practicing architect running under his practice name Colors. Keng Hua has been really supporting PechaKucha, and he literally agreed to join us within 5 minutes. I don't really have to persuade much, so I'm really happy that Keng Hua.
Well, I'm honored to be invited. Thank you.
So, without further ado, Keng Hua, I'll hand over to you to introduce what you're going to share with us today.
Yeah, but First of all, I think Professor Robert Powell set a very high standard. I hope I can keep up. Penang is very special to me because very special to my heart, not just the food, but because my wife's from Penang. That's why I met BU during the Chinese New Year earlier this year as well. So very thankful.
Up.
Very, very thankful that to be invited to speak at PechaKucha for the first time. Thank you. So I teach in the university in Singapore, SUTD, and also run. I just want to clarify. I'm not a registered architect, but we work on public spaces and some of the spaces for social spaces. Let's jump right in. Many people know about Parking Day in Singapore. People thought that it's by Urban Redevelopment Authority. Actually, it's by a group of students and myself back then. And we do it not because we have we don't have consent from URA. Actually, we did it because we want to respond to the traffic issues in the MacPherson. But after we did it 1 year, it spin off to a series of annual events from 2013 all the way to last year. And this year, because of COVID, we're still going to do it. Hopefully we can still do it. But the idea is to actually make access to public spaces in our cities. And these are my two little boys back then, 2013. And with that, we designed this modular structure and to encourage public space, encourage public to actually plant container plants in those places using different kind of configuration. And after the Parking Day, we don't know what to do with it. So we put at different void deck in Singapore, and HDB saw it and they say, why don't we design the void deck for them? So we designed this modular furniture with special lighting that responds to how the furniture is being placed, and you can create different kind of experience. So we use computational to automatically react to the people behavior. But after that, the chair got stolen. So we have to redesign a new set of chairs that's heavy enough not to be stolen, but light enough for people to still move around, and the curvature for the seniors to be able to lay back and enjoy the sitting, as you can see from the community over there, which we love them very well. And then we were invited to join this competition in iLight Marina, and we are so fortunate that we are able to transform the void deck lighting and furniture space into a real public installation as a public space that also responds to how people move in the vicinity and translate into different set of lighting. We are honored that PM Lee actually visited us that year. And at the same time, we were also asked to look at other void decks in Singapore who is being transformed into social spaces for the seniors, in this case, a studio apartment. This is the first of its kind in studio apartment that have a social space catered for them as a wellness. And after that, we were asked to do another even more challenging space, not just seniors, but seniors with dementia. So you can see we're trying to learn from how they use PECs to do their art and craft and transform into the entire facade that is more transparent and visible, and trying to address the stigma of dementia in Singapore. And you know, Singapore is a very aging society. So with that, we also want to break the boundary of the facade. So we managed to convince the authority to transform a series of car park into a park outside the HDB. It's not easy, trust me. And a series of public spaces for the seniors as well. This is another proposal that we made to transform the old bus interchange into social spaces. But unfortunately, it didn't pull off. But at least I got a chance to show it now. So with all this trying to push the boundary, we thought that maybe we should try some hypothetical project, and we were approached by Lian Foundation. Very, very fortunate to be able to work with them. And we came up with 10 different typologies to imagine the future of senior living in Singapore. So some are under the viaduct, some are transforming factory, some are high-rise, some are transforming the stadium into apartments. Some seniors like to live in the outskirts, some seniors like to live in the city center. That's one of the market was burned down. We transformed them into a kind of a hybrid of healthcare and market space and hawker and what have you. And to really push the boundary of designing with seniors. And it's not just a hypothetical thinking. Just look at the kind of process that we went through. Many years of working with, I always say many in the past few years, with community across different parts of the island. So using different kind of methods. So the big jigsaw puzzle you see is actually for dementia people, because they can't really translate their ideas. So during COVID period, we also trying instead of physical interaction, we go online as well. We create this new kampong kind of campaign. We work with children, we work with elderly, we do gardening, art and craft, and trying to advocate. And in the end, we thought, why don't we do apps? So we came out with the apps called New Kampong. It stands for New Urban Kampong. We're trying to bring the kampong spirit back in urban city and see how we can use app to empower the residents to create their own happenings, to group with like-minded individuals and so on. And by having done some of this project, we're also scratching our head how to bring all this together. So we thought that maybe it's a form of creative activism that entail empathy intervention, that entail design empowerment, how to empower the community, and also learn from local radical engineerism. We learn from so many architects around the world. You can see Anna Heringer from Germany working with Bangladesh community, Votrongya working with Vietnamese using bamboo, Xi Tiantian in China, trying to transform the kind of cultural context into a new modern platform, and Billion Bricks in India, trying to make house free for all. We learned from Taliana Shao and her husband Florian in Indonesia, trying to create small library to empower the community. We learned from our own Singapore architects, Chu Yang Keng in Cambodia, doing micro library, and many others who are doing project in Fiji, in Taiwan, respond to disaster. We learned from Filipino architects, WTA, doing small scale intervention, from architects from Rwanda, in this case, and also Pao from China, how to see how we can do intervention that address the concern of the community. And last slide, what I want to show is actually a concert that I just went. You can see my t-shirt, it's U2. So if you asked me last time when I was young, actually I didn't want to be an architect, I want to be a rock band player, but I didn't get to do that. But I want to highlight is U2 is a special band because through music they're able to advocate creative activism. Likewise, I believe as architect we can do it too. Thank you.
Bravo! Amazing.
So I tried to squeeze too many things into 20 slides.
It was perfect.
Good job.
It was really good.
Thank you.
I really like the way that what's really important with architecture, especially when you're starting out, is that the most important thing is, well, one of the most important things is content and connecting with people and connecting with the community. And people, it's no good designing really nice buildings if they end up empty. And you've got really good passion there for connecting with community and building community. So great presentation.
Thank you so
much.
much.
Exactly. Keng Hua, the content you shared, I think it's a very good warm feeling that it gives me the vibe that you are really going down to grassroots level, helping to turn negative spaces around the void deck into something inspiring. And I always believe that, good design is always possible, regardless of scale, complexity, and budget. And I think your 20 slides literally, prove that,
it's amazing.
Always possible.
Thank you so much. We try our best. We try to squeeze 100 slides into 20. It's not easy.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, I know that so many of these amazing not every amazing architecture project wins the bid in the end. And while there may be 10 great, proposals on the board, only one of them gets chosen. And I think PechaKucha was kind of born out of hearing about those projects that never actually saw the light of day.
Yeah, right? Actually, there's a great story that Toyo Ito has only presented once. I presented twice, but the first time he presented so he starts off with all of the presentations, all of the competitions he'd lost, okay, which was kind of funny. He started off with a few small projects, and then he said, oh, this is a project, I lost this project. And he lost them all to Rem Koolhaas. Rem Koolhaas won every one, and he lost. He said he had about 10 projects in a row, and he said, yeah, and Rem Koolhaas won them all.
Well, but those that he won really show the world what he can do. I think that's what it's.
Yeah, I know, he's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So, but I just also want to say that you two kind of changed my life when I went to see the Pop Mart tour, and we met the designers, and it was amazing. And I think that's that's obviously the designers came from the Architectural Association, but it was really amazing to see that in real life. So congratulations again, great presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
well
you.
done, Keng Hua, well done.
Thank you.
So moving on, our final speaker of the evening, Koh Xiao Hee. Koh Xiao Hee is the founder of a well-known practice in Singapore, K2LD Architects. And he's again joining us from Singapore. Xiao Hee came to Penang in 2016. We had an international architectural celebration, and Xiao Hee was one of the speakers. He has done some works in Penang, and I figured, as our first global platform, Xiao Hee will be great, a speaker to join us. So let's welcome Xiao Hee. Welcome to PechaKucha Penang. Over to you.
Thank you, Biu. Thank you for inviting me. We started K2L in year 2000 and 2008 in Melbourne by my partner, David Lee, who happens to be born in Penang. So it's been 20 years, so I thought it would be appropriate to do this PechaKucha 20 slides, 20 seconds format.
It's all about timing, right?
Yes, see if I can reflect my journey of 20 years as an architect. Helming K2LD. Actually, it was part of the exhibition we are planning for URA, but 20 years retrospective. But due to the COVID, we couldn't do it. So it's a good platform to do this. Yeah. So let's start my 20 slides.
Okay. Yeah. Take a good breath. Good luck.
Yeah, this was the first house that launched our practice back in year 2000. It was an alteration and addition of an old house. Yes, it was a glass box juxtaposed on top of other functional extensions, but we took on the ambition to tackle phenomenology of disappearance and the essential use of material. In a sense, it was an expression of modernity in idyllic tropical forest setting. So we got onto the press, not just the local press, but international ones that include Wallpaper, Business Time, and The Monument, and commissions follow. Here you see Golden Mesh Box, the Green Copper House, and Box in a Box Brick Townhouse, each exploring a new method of making and material. We make sure that there are no ordinary boxes during the design process. Now, we have just completed the Naruma Brick Trio, looking similar, but uniquely different in their spatial configuration, using a permutation of stacked boxes. Now, using barnyard-inspired vernacular approach, the trio are finished in rough plastered crumpled bricks. Be sure to design the most beautiful box next time you are making one. Now, early on, I quickly became acutely aware of the tropical condition of the rain and the sun, as well as the need for cross-ventilation in our monsoon humid condition. I began to explore the gray spaces in Japanese architecture and the in-between shaded veranda space that is a vernacular tradition in many tropical architecture. Even when a client asked for a Miss Van der Rohe-inspired house, I was able to incorporate the tropical feature of deep overhang and introduce screens to shade the sun whenever possible. In a way, the white box becomes more complex. It's a layered box with gray spaces, much like the way mist blurs the boundary between inside and outside. This recently completed project is called the Courtyard Screen Variant House, again using the same variant expression to manipulate space and shadow. In this case, we explored a different syntax of rotating blades at the screen to induce an irregular play of shadow, giving delight and lightness to the occupant. In many of my early works, there's a parallel track I was investigating in response to our monsoon condition. That is to provide deep overhang. It influenced my early study of the roof forms. These flying roof forms are sometimes extension of the volume, cantilevered up to 3 meters. Sometimes they are origami-inspired folded planes that sits on top of the box. For instance, in the Wing House project, where the land is not regular rectangle, but triangular in shape, sitting on the sloping side, we jump on the opportunity to break out of the box and to think out of the box. Tropical monsoon conditions give rise to many iconic and excellent architecture tradition and masterpieces like Minangkabau and the Toraja roofs. Besides searching for interpretive forms, I'm inspired by the simple logical response to our tropical monsoon climate in vernacular architecture. When we explore the roof forms, we relentlessly study the possible composition and reconfiguration of the split roofs and overhang to reinterpret this vernacular language in a new way. The original house is an extension of the same linguistic exploration that continues our series on tropical expressionism. Here you see the use of triple roof splits. It brings light and ventilation into the deeper part of the house. Just for the roof, We counted 91 study models to arrive at the final form. In Fuzhou, China, we had a rare opportunity to design a visiting center as part of master plan development for Wangke. Previously studied roof forms were used to mimic the meandering rolling terrain of the surrounding hills, the gentle folding and flexing of angular geometry, again origamic in essence, sits well in the land and blends with the environment. You can hardly see them in the pictures. Now, as we explore materiality, we chance upon wood center core discards from a paper pulp making industry. We reuse these center cores to create a forested interior for a Japanese restaurant. We also use a reflection of tinted glass on one side to double the spatial experience by making a visual extension of the forest. We started our Melbourne practice in 2008. The design of Pescaville Community Centre mediates a garden linking the community to the swimming pool complex. Lightly touching the ground, it provides a relief and shelter for the residents. And needing to be budget conscious, the project uses very economical material of cement board and multicolored glass to give a unique identity. The Singapore Wine Vault is situated on the rooftop of the 12-story warehouse in northern Singapore. From there, you can actually look all the way to southern Malaysia. We wanted to design a garden to absorb the heat since it's really unforgivingly hot up there. And now we have an urban resort-like oasis lifted 60 meters in otherworldliness setting. Back in 2010, we won a competition for Christ Methodist Church. Using a simple screen language as a veil, subtracted some parts of it, and we have a memorable icon, now nicknamed Church of the Little Crosses. The design created an iconic architecture unique in the East. It is environmentally sustainable and serves the community with its openness. This is a boarding primary school located in Shunde, China, for 2,400 students. Using pattern language derived from bricks and functional screens, we foster a strong visual memory of the school for young students. The very tall and deep overhang you see at the morning assembly area is also an application of the gray space. Again, with G Hotel Kalawai Penang, the use of deep overhang ledges with a pattern screen reduces heat gain, provides sun shading, and conserve energy, thus lowering operation costs. The iconic expressions created by the flux pattern speaks of contemporarity, flux, and change in Penang context. Now, this is an ongoing residential project called the 800 Petals. Using a petal-like modular DNA as a pattern language, these petals repeat and vary in the form of sun shading device, planter boxes, and balconies, accumulating in a random organic texture on the 36-story building structure. Phenomenology once again takes center stage in this downtown 40-story hotel in Melbourne. Using two color glass and two types of backing, 4 shades of blue are achieved. It fades gently into the sky and sometimes disappears in the reflection. The pixelation again creates an unique identity and speaks of the progressive multicultural demographic change in Melbourne. Now, we are currently working on the Founders Memorial together with Kangkut Kumar's team, and their proposal bodes well with our philosophy of disappearance. Indeed, intended to be part of the garden, the memorial rises gently as part of the ground instead of an object. It not only houses the exhibit content, but most importantly, aspire to provide a new citizen gathering space to remember the struggle of nation building. It is a place to reflect, a place to contemplate, a place to celebrate, and most importantly, a place to cherish. Thank you.
Well done, Shahi. Well done.
Thank you. Oh, I've got to catch my breath.
You finished your drink, I noticed. So you're gonna top up
Great job.
I love the rooftop bar at G Hotel Kelowai is awesome. I didn't know you did that. That place, I love that building.
Yeah,
I love
we
the
did
rooftop
that.
bar. That's the best rooftop bar in Penang.
Really?
I can't wait to go back there.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That means that Brian and I must come and visit to experience that rooftop bar. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm so glad Pete can relate, because, almost half of our presenters this evening are, architects, and, I'm so glad this design, creativity, we share something in common here, all of us here. So I think that's the beauty of PechaKucha, and really, thanks to you, Mark, and not at
all. No, thanks to all the presenters. There was a question there for you, Cole. Somebody asked, in your second slide, is there a reason for the green facade? It looks iconic. And that's from Lee. I'm not sure what the second slide was, but I was probably fiddling with my.
It was a green copper house. The client,
okay, yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
So the client had wanted a copper house because it was a material that could increase in value, and I didn't think that it was green. We started designing with it as a sort of a traditional copper color, and then
thank you. Okay, yeah.
Then when the project started, she said, it's supposed to be green. We're like, what? So we had to use the pre-oxidized copper. It turned out great.
Just tell us a little bit more about the project with Kengo Kuma. That's a memorial for just expand a little bit on what the project is.
It's actually for the Singapore founders. It's
okay, interesting.
Yeah. So it's to commemorate the sort of nation building process that we had gone through.
Right.
Maybe 50 years ago. Yeah.
Wow.
And,
okay. And where's that located? Is that down by Gardens by the
yes,
by the bay?
It's actually on the bay east, across the central reservoir. Yeah.
Cool. Very nice.
They're building that now.
Congratulations
right?
to you, Xiaoyi. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's supposed to start in 2 years, and then it will take 5 years to build, finishing in 2027.
Okay.
Yeah, suffering.
So we'll be visiting you soon, shall we? When better times to come.
Love to have you guys. I want to go visit Penang and eat the durian. You know,
durian season is over, guys. So you have to come next year.
Best durian in the world.
I should tell you, I booked a flight to Penang on Saturday morning. I'll be there at the weekend.
Really? Are you a fan of durians, Robert?
Pardon?
Are you a fan of durians?
No, please, no durian for me.
I'll bring a few in the car. If I see you in Penang, I'm going to bring it and put it in the car and just test it.
But I like the idea of a rooftop bar.
I'll buy you a drink. I'll buy you a drink there.
Okay. We'll meet there and then we'll take a Wi-Fi and then you send it to Xiaoyi and say, wish you are here with us.
Yeah.
Make me jealous.
That's great. Yeah, we really hope that this travel thing can be lifted so that we all can be in Penang soon.
I know. I mean, I'm so glad we're all together, all from our comforts, our home. It's raining really heavily out here in Penang. And it is great that Mark created this Inspire the World series. And I think certain parts of the world are still struggling, fighting COVID. And
I mean, it's been super interesting that this we're all social distancing, but this has brought us all closer together. And we didn't really want to put presentations online and stream them live. We don't want to do that in Tokyo because people probably wouldn't come if they could watch it on a laptop. Especially if it's raining like it is with you. But this has brought us together because we've had to get together. But it means that we can drop in, as you said right at the beginning, people from Singapore or from different places can drop in on the same call. So we'd like to invite some of you to present in Tokyo in our upcoming online events if we don't get better. But I think we're talking with Brian and the rest of the team here about how we can keep these going even when the live events go back. I think this hybrid type presentation format, it's really interesting that we can so people can tune in from around the world and we can have 3 or 4 different speakers from all different regions and present, so it's been really a really lovely insight also into tropical architecture. And I think that I don't want to talk too much about it, but what you see on the news these days isn't real life. And what we find dropping into, so it's quite architectural tonight. Brian and I, we've been dropping into over 80 presentations around or events around the world, whether it's Kalamazoo or whether it's Dar es Salaam or all sorts of amazing places, and everybody's got really incredible positive stories about how they're getting through the pandemic, what they're doing. Nobody was down. Everybody's like, we're going to get through this, we're going to sort it out, we're going to live with it, and I think those are stories that needs to get out into the news, and we hope PechaKucha will start to do that, because I think the human default is positivity. And it's not what we're led to believe by other people. So thank you all very much again.
No, thank
Brian,
you.
you're going to do a group photo, yeah?
Let's do one great in PechaKucha tradition. Yeah, go ahead, Chong. What were you going to say?
Yeah, Mark, if I may, I would like to invite you guys to Singapore as well this October. I mean, virtually, because I'm curating Singapore Archifest this year. So I'm the festival director. So I just want to take the chance to invite all of you to show the resilience of this fraternity as well.
Yeah,
to see
yeah.
how
Let's
we
do
can
that and do a PechaKucha something like this during.
It'll be cool.
Festival.
It'll be cool. Yeah,
very pleased to do that.
Let's stay in touch, Chung. We'll stay in touch.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay.
In PechaKucha tradition, we're going to do one quick group shot, even though there's just 9 of us here, but we have 100 other people. Let's give a little wave, a little thumbs up. Here we go.
Everybody.
In 3, 2, 1. Hey,
hold your hands up. Hey,
PechaKucha. One more time.
Are we doing the signature PechaKucha?
3, yeah. Oh, whoops. Okay, here we go. Last one. 3, 2, 1.
What's the signature?
Okay. All right.
Great job, Brian. Hey, Brian, I have a question.
Sure.
What t-shirt are you wearing tonight?
Oh, thanks for asking. Yeah, this is my I got out the shark skin tonight. This is PechaKucha.
Oh, so now we are talking about outfit, yeah?
From Vodnyani. From Czech
This is
Republic.
PechaKucha from Vodnyani. Yeah, we get sent these amazing t-shirts from all around the world.
This one was
everybody makes interesting posts.
They had an event about scent, and the guy who makes their posters is out of this world, and this is all about scent. So yeah.
So this is from Vodnyani in the Czech Republic, which is really interesting. So yeah. All right, guys.
We're all connected.
Over to you, B.
And B, I'll just let's just before we sign off here real quick, let's just remind everybody. Whoops. Let's remind everybody that all these presentations will be up on our website after. Give us a couple of days to get all this content on, and all our presenters are welcome to share this out with those who couldn't be here with us tonight. I want to send out a special thanks to. Oh, we did the group photo. I think we're good. I want to send out a special thanks to all our Zoom attendees and to everybody still on YouTube and to our presenters on behalf of PechaKucha HQ. I'm going to pass it back over to you, B. Thanks so much, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Mark. This last round, I'm very grateful to my team. Alexa, Wing Chen. Alexa has been diligently dishing out all the virtual background. So, we are really glad we pulled this through. I was really nervous about doing this, and I think we've got a good crowd. Yeah, Brian. So thank you, everyone. It was a great evening. I think everyone shared the heart's content. Joseph, Ida, Pete, Robert, Keng Hua, and Xiaohee, from the bottom of our hearts, PechaKucha Penang. Thank you, everyone, for coming. So till we see you again.
So much.
Did you just send a heart? Okay, that's one back to you, Brian.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm going to give you one last clap. Yeah, one last clap from the clap machine.
We do chat, Pete.
Okay, so long, everybody.
Okay, we'll see you soon.